Traders Corner is proudly brought to you by IG, the specialists in CFD trading.
Welcome back. You're watching Traders Corner, the first of 2015, and as always, I'm joined by Garth McKenzie, founder and editor of Traders Corner. Garth, I do hope it's a happy 2015. Certainly, it's been rather tough on the market so far, but if we can continue what we did in the last 3 years, we'll be smiling.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Juliet. It's nice to be back, and certainly looking forward to 2015 and hoping that we can have a good year like we did last year and like the 2 years previous to that as well.
Just remind us, Garth, or remind the audience really, what we did, what we managed to achieve using the 250,000 Rand seed capital that you put up at the beginning of the year, the kind of returns that the portfolio notched up.
Yeah, well, we've been going for just over 5 years with this show, and we've had some really good years. Last year, 2014, we were up 42% for the year. And then the previous 2 years before that, we were up 52% and 53% respectively. So we've had some really excellent years over the last couple of years, and certainly hoping that we can repeat that kind of performance again this year.
Well, we started off last year with a bang, and we'll get to that in a moment. But just to recap what the show is about and what you're hoping to set to achieve this year on the program.
Yeah, well, look, I put up 250,000 Rand of my own money at the beginning of each year for this show, and that's our trading capital that we start the year with. And the idea is that the show is educational, but we're also trading with real money, utilizing technical analysis and using the proper trading principles that I preach on this show to try and take advantage of opportunities in the market and to grow that capital using very careful risk management methods and whatnot. And basically using proper trading principles, teaching people how to trade successfully. And the idea being that the audience learns something, but also that we make profits with the capital that I put up for the show. And at the end of the year, whatever profits we've generated on this show, we will then donate to charity.
Garth, you also set yourself some goals, and this is something that you suggest that traders out there do for themselves every year. At the end of the year, we have kind of a retrospective where you look back, some analysis. What then would your goals be for 2015, taking into account what they might have been at the beginning of last year? Have they changed at all?
No, well, these goals actually stay the same every year, to be honest. So, and regular viewers of the show have seen these goals every year come and go.
And it's not as make as much money as possible.
No, it's actually not. You know, ultimately that's your end goal. But the idea is to actually set yourself goals that you have some control over, so that you can, in the end, achieve that goal of making as much money as possible. So the three goals which I set every year, and they're the same goals again this year, are the ones that are up on the screen now. I want to try and get 65% of my trades as winners. In other words, 2 out of 3 trades I'd like to be winners. My winners should ideally be 3 times bigger than my losers on average. All right. And then the last goal is that I want to be patient for high probability trades. You know, the market is always, it has this allure and this magnetism that you want to trade, and you always feel like you want to be involved. And the idea actually is be patient for the high probability trades. Don't trade just for the sake of trading or just because we've got a TV show and we need to do something every week. You know, be patient. Wait for opportunities that are actually worthwhile pursuing, and then pursue them. Don't feel like you need to force any trades. So be patient. That's the third goal, and those are the 3 goals that we've got for this year. And then come the end of this year, come the end of 2015, we will look at these goals again and say, how did I fare against those goals?
I have to say that the patience maybe is something that's developed over the last 5 years of the show, and it wasn't necessarily one of the supreme goals right in the beginning, but that has definitely come to the fore, and I think it's been the right approach. Well, it's evidenced in the kind of returns. Garth, we actually start the year in fairly similar position as we did in 2014, and that was a short position on the Rand that you actually took before the year began. It was late December last year, and it falls into this year's show. How have you done?
Yeah, it's done well. So you're right. We started last year's show in a very similar vein with a short position in the Rand-dollar exchange rate. And I did this trade at the end of last year. It was actually the end of November that we put this trade on. And regular viewers to the show will recall that we did this trade right towards the back end of 2014. And I said at that stage that I would exclude this trade from the 2014 portfolio and push it into the 2015 portfolio. The reason being that I wanted to try and take advantage of seasonal weakness in the Rand that typically happens in January of each year. As it turns out, the seasonal weakness that usually happens in January actually happened in December. And nonetheless, we were in the trade, and it's actually worked out very well for us. So if we have a look at the screen at the moment, you can see what's up on the screen there. That's a chart of the rand-dollar exchange rate. And what I'd identified was that we had this massive overhead resistance area at 11 Rand 35 on the rand-dollar. And at the same time, we had this rising uptrend coming through the lows. So that whole thing makes it what's like a large ascending triangle pattern. And the bottom line, or the thinking here, is that each time the currency bumps up against 11 Rand 35, it comes back down. But every time the rand strengthens again, it can't get as strong as it did on the previous pullback. And in effect, you've got a situation where you've got rising highs here. And you would typically look at a situation like that and back the likelihood that it's going to actually break out to the top of that pattern, i.e. that the rand was likely to weaken and make quite a powerful break through that resistance area. So what I did right at the end of November last year is I went short the rand dollar. Short the rand dollar, i.e. buying dollars, shorting rands.
Yeah.
Okay, and to do that, I used a currency future. I used the March 2015 rand dollar currency future. I did 23 contracts of that. Now, every contract represents $1,000 of exposure. So effectively, I went short $23,000 worth of rands, if you want to look at it that way. I traded that at a spot price of 10 Rand 99, and I had a stop loss of 10 Rand 69 on the spot. Now, there's always a time value premium with the currency future because I'm trading a future. In this case, it was 4 months into the future at that stage. There's 4 months worth of time value that is incurred or that I'm effectively buying. So my price on the currency future was 11 Rand 20, even though my spot price was 11 Rand 99. All right, and obviously what I was looking at there was a movement weaker in the rand and ultimately for it to break through that 11 Rand 35 and for it to then go beyond that level. Now, it's worked out very, very nicely, and I actually have taken profits on the trade over the last couple of weeks. And I've taken profits at the spot price of 11 Rand 60, which translated into a futures price of 11 Rand 77. And doing that actually banked us a profit of 13,110 Rand. So it's an excellent way to start the year. I always like starting the year with some profits in the bank. It certainly gives me a bit of a buffer and a bit of confidence to work with.
And also it helps with that patience when you feel like you've made a bit of money. You don't feel like you're sort of, oh, I've got to rush in and do something. I've got to make a trade and I've got to make it good.
It's like being a batsman at the crease. You know, you go out there to open your innings. You always want to just put a few runs in the bank, and then you know that you can, you're off the mark and you can then build from there.
Well, you might want to. As a spectator, I'm not sure I feel the same way. Garth, but just on the fact that you cashed in essentially at 11 Rand 60 on the spot price, 11.77 on the futures price, it is above where the rand is trading at the moment, and the rand has seemed to have got stuck at about 11.50. Your initial target was a move to about 12 Rand.
Yeah.
Why did you close it out earlier? Why weren't you prepared to maybe run this trade a bit longer?
Yeah, it's a good question. You're right that the currency's been sort of stable now over the last couple of weeks. Yes, my bigger picture target was actually 12 Rand 50. And I do think it can probably still go there over the medium term. But you'll recall that I looked back at the historical movement of the rand dollar during January of each of the last 13 years. I think it was when we identified this pattern of rand weakness during January. And the average move in the currency over those 13 years was a weakness of 6.5% for the rand during the month of January. Now, we got 10 Rand 99 to 11 Rand 60. That's approximately 6%.
Yeah.
And I felt that we've got the rump of what the average move is for that time of the year. And anything more, I'm probably getting a little bit greedy. So I followed my gut a little bit, and I decided that we've made enough money here. Let me bank this profit and take it, which turns out to have been the right thing to do. Yeah. But having said that, if the rand does come back to 11 Rand 35, there's a very good chance that I might look to reinstate this trade, because technically that still looks very